Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters. Children and the economy. Children and the economy. Now, just to be clear, I'm not talking about child labor or anything like that, but I'm just talking about how children impact the economy. The fact of the matter is, a lot of businesses go around these children. You know, there was a company, a lot of the older people especially remember, some of the younger people, Toys R Us. Toys R Us. Now, I remember when they went out of business a few years ago. Now, they're making a comeback in a way, but as part of larger department stores like Macy's. They have a section in those stores. Some of the stores anyway. And indeed, if you think about toys, period, I remember when I was younger, I mean, you had big toy stores, not just Toys R Us, but like major stores. You can just go in just for toys. Big stores, smaller stores, you don't see that anymore. You might have some holdouts here and there. And if you know of any, let me know, a bigger store at that. But for the most part, you got to go to, I don't know, a Target. They part of bigger stores. Let's put it like that. And part of the reason is there's not as many children being born, at least in this country, really in the Western world. And see, people might not think about, how that affects the economy, but just bear with me. Let's walk through it. Let's walk through it. First of all, toys. Toys. I mean, you had billion-dollar corporations. What they do, make toys. You got the cars for the boys and the Barbie dolls and stuff for the girls. I mean, that's major. The house sets, everything. And even some of the stuff that they still have, like Legos. Well, let's just be real. That's more adult now. They would be in trouble if they limited what they had to children. Just on that, it makes a lot of money. There's a big deal about the baby formula. That's major. Think about all the stuff out there strictly for children. Strictly for children. Baby formulas, baby clothes. See, think about baby clothes for a second. When my sons were babies, they had hand-me-downs. But for some people who don't want to deal with that, buy new clothes all the time, hey, that's a lot of money. Diapers are a lot of money. All the little stuff you got to do for kids. We ain't even talking about the medical stuff for children. And then it's the toys. And then, as they get older, schools, they got to go to schools. The whole child daycare system. I mean, seriously, that's a major thing. If you saw daycare, I mean, you got corporate chains of daycares. Right up the street from me is one of those high-end daycare centers. I mean, it's serious. I mean, shoot. Or just, just the act of babysitting. Babysitting, that's a lot of people's first jobs. Particularly young women, their first job is babysitting. Babysitting. I mean, think about all the money made just in relation to children. You got places like Chuck E. Cheese. Their main thing is kids. Yeah, you got some adults in there cutting up and everything, but their main thing is kids. Kids' toys. I mean, the little cars. Movies. TV shows. I mean, family, seriously, sit back and just think about all the stuff that's in the economy just based on children. And then one thing I heard, it was somebody high up, a corporate executive. The thing about kids, when I was coming up, the big thing was Saturday morning cartoons. That was a major thing. Kids in my day, when I was young, no, they didn't stay inside. We didn't have computer games and smartphones. We would go outside, except on Saturday morning. And you have all the kid shows. I mean, it used to be a big deal to have a preview of the kid shows for the fall. But as I spoke on one of these channels, one of the lessons I got in high school was checking out the commercials to any of these programs. So as I got older and, it was still, when my sons were babies, they still had a semblance of those type of shows. And I checked them out, sat there and, checked out the commercials. Checked out the commercials. Damn good. Anyway, I can look out the window of my office. But I was checking out the commercials. I was like, wait a minute. That's big business. Think about all these kids' cereals. Think about all the foods for them. I mean, if you just seriously, if you position right, you can make a lot of money just dealing with kids. Clowns at birthday parties. Though the last time I was at a birthday party with a clown, let's just say, I hope the police caught up with him. I'll leave it at that. But think about all the stuff. I mean, even if you think about like amusement centers, even now the ones they still have, and even as the kids get older, I mean that's in places they can go, arcade stuff like that. Think about how much bicycles for the kids, tricycles, little stuff like that. Now I guess you could say even the computer games now maybe for the kids. I mean that's still there. But here's a problem. Businesses overall take a hit when there's not as many kids. And we're not even going to get into, since there's the low birth rates and how that affects the overall economy, even beyond it, even when the kids become adults. Just real quick, I want y'all to think about something. Fewer kids mean that when they become adults, fewer people are buying homes. Indeed, the way things are, many children ain't even trying. They grow up, they still going to stay at home. But think about it, that's fewer things, fewer cars, everything. See, one of the things when you're talking about the economy, you got to think people. It's basically people trading, supply and demand. The people are demanding something, a business supplies them what they need. But when you don't have as many people, the same businesses can't make as much money. Think about it. Like say someone was making their money through like a babysitting. Okay, like here's an example where I lived and it was in a home before this one, before the apartment, before the apartment when I was living in a bigger home. One of the things next door to me was a woman. She stayed home. She was a babysitter. She had a nice little yard. She had the kids over there and everything. What if in that same, and it was generally like neighborhood kids, what if in that same neighborhood people weren't having as many kids? That's affecting how much money she's making. I mean, you got to think about these things. You got to think about it. It's very important because it's people. And see, the beauty of it is when you have like a regular birth rate, those same businesses keep up and they affect so much more because the children got to grow up. Think about schools, daycare, pre-K, the schools, that affects the schools. I remember, because it was, my high school was all male at first. But they eventually had to become co-ed. That's because the particular years that the students were there, the particular years the students were born, it was low birth rates. I remember like my high school, it had a capacity for 1,000 students. And I remember just the year before they went co-ed, they only had 400 students. So think about that. And that was people's salaries and everything being affected. I want y'all to think about that. How much the children, because it comes down to people, but you need more people. Indeed, you get a little political. Part of the immigration thing is a part of that too. Even though plenty of people are against it, but part of that's to sustain the economy and because they having children, but also they spending money and they also working jobs. Because that's a big issue overall, and that's a separate video. A big problem is a lot of children, younger people, they ain't growing up and getting the same jobs to sustain the rest of the economy. And also pay those taxes to help affect Social Security. It's big. So you understand one thing about any economy. Look at the people. Look at the demographics, all right? So I want y'all to think about that. And, as always, let's go make that money. Hold up, before I go. Yeah, I know I talked about, lack of children, but we still got to make our money anyway. So let's go make that money.